All right. We have a cost CVC. Okay, we can't see your face very well. If you can sit up a little bit so that we can reduce your camera down. Okay, fantastic. I think it's 4 on the dot. I think we are good to go. All right. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this wonderful edition of our regular program, Inside the Arena. Interestingly, season 28. And inside the arena today is a very distinguished Nigerian who has caught his niche in the field of engineering practice. I would say he has traversed the length and breadth of the engineering practice and has left a lasting legacy in the annals of the engineering history. Today, we'll be taking you through his life and time as an engineer. It's my pleasure to welcome inside the arena a very distinguished engineer, chief. Let me add the chief, engineer chief. You will know later why I'm adding chief. Vincent Nnadi, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management. You are welcome inside the arena, sir.
Thank you.
And I am your regular host, Engineer Ben O.C. OKOH is my name. Thank you. Before we commence, let me also take our participants through the rules again, because I know that there may be 1 or 2 people who may be joining us for the first time for this program. We have 3 segments of this program. The first is what we call the direct free kick. I know this is a football season, and everybody, even if you don't know what a free kick is, by the virtue of the fact that we are in a football season, you should be able to understand what we mean by direct free kick, because we are inside the arena. So we have the first segment, direct free kick, where all the questions will be directed to the guest, and the guest will respond to the questions. And after that, we go to the corner kick. The corner kick segment is where we allow the participants to ask questions. That we ask the guest questions, and the guest also has some immunity, because when a participant asks any question that is considered out of place or beyond the bounds of propriety, we will exonerate the guest, especially the controversial ones, from answering the question. Then we have the segment that we call the extra time. The extra time is a time we also put the participants on the hot seat and ask them questions about the guest. And the first 3 participants that will answer the question correctly or send in the correct answers are going to be going home with fantastic prizes today. The first prize is 100,000 Naira cash. Second prize, 80,000 Naira cash. And third prize, 50,000 Naira cash. So the participants should get ready, listen attentively, so that they can, maybe the lucky ones, we definitely go home with these fantastic prizes. So that is all we have for the rules. So we have to kick off today's session. Okay, sir, I can see that interestingly, after speaking with you before this program, and we coincidentally, or maybe by divine ordinance, found ourselves in Enugu in the same hotel. That's interesting.
Honestly. Honestly.
So today, Today you are inside the arena. And let's begin by asking you, who is Engineer Chief Vincent Nnadi? Nnadi, tell us about yourself, your birth, your family background, and education background, or a few other things we need to know about you in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ben. Like you said, it was a very strange coincidence to meet you at Enugu. And I was quite happy because you often speak about Enugu. So I was quite pleased with the offer to be your guest today. Well, directly, Engineer Vincent Nnadi is the photo you're seeing here. I am now a retired engineer, can say that. I've retired from the services of Total Energies some 4 years ago, three and a half years, and counting. Well, I was born in a village called Abagi. It's actually one of the first places the oil exploration started. I would say after Oloibiri, Abagi is one of the places that oil was struck by the multinational oil company known as Total Energies today, but their initial name at that time was Safrap in 1962. So at that time, I was quite small. And so I witnessed from a very short distance what was going on. And so if I didn't become an engineer, I didn't know what else I could have been, because I had very close interaction with engineers, expatriates at very early age. Because going to my primary school, trekking a distance from there, was usually these oil workers who give me a lift to school. Coming back, they bring me back. Sometimes we'll drop at the wellheads. I will just watch them manipulating valves with all the spanners of engineers. And so I knew the crude quite early. I knew spanners. I knew things about engineering quite early while in my primary school. So from there, I went to a secondary school at Ahoda, quite close to my community of Bagi. In 1978, I graduated and later entered the College of Science and Technology, which was one of the highest institutions in Rivers State. At that time, in 1978, I finished in 1979, and then had an HND in chemical engineering, but later went back, did my and then a master's program in this. Quite interesting. As soon as I finished my youth service in 1983-84, this company would look for me because I had the advantage of having a little experience, industrial, the seaways I did with them. So virtually they were looking for me where I was. But at that time, since immediately I had a brief stint with teaching for 6 months before I later joined Total Energies, as it is called now. And so quickly I was deployed to the field. First of all, to start a laboratory, because there was no scientific laboratory at that time for Total Energies, because they were designing a plant that would remove CO2 from gas. So they needed data, very important data, to be able to design the plant. So I began at this stage. We did a lot of experiments, a lot of sampling and all that, to find out that we could deploy what is known as DEA, diethanolamine plant, to be able to remove CO2 from the gas that we would eventually use for gas lift operations. So it was one of my first scientific experience. And then from the laboratory, I was quickly drafted into operations production as Total was moving from onshore swamp operations to offshore. So I was one of the first Nigerian engineers that were moved offshore to start the offshore fields. And so in 1998, we opened our first offshore fields, and I had the opportunity of opening the first offshore well of Total into production. And that was how it became. And then from there, I moved over. We were also to start our gas plants.
Where did you do your National Youth Service Corps?
Exactly. Thank you for that interesting question. It was a return to Enugu, actually. My national youth service corps, I was at Anambra State, as it were at that time, precisely at the Nkalagu cement factory.
Wow.
So it was actually returning to Enugu was quite interested at that time. I had my youth service. So
now you said that your familiarity with the engineering activities going on in your area as a child, maybe activated your interest into studying engineering. So why did you choose chemical engineering? Why not any other engineering discipline?
Well, also at school, I had a very big bias for chemistry, physics, and actually, with some of the people I had interaction with, chemical engineering became. In fact, first of all, I was admitted to read civil engineering at College of Science and Technology. But after the first semester, I said, no, let me find my way back to chemical engineering because I had more aptitude with chemistry at that time.
Yeah.
I think that was the background.
Okay. Now, you moved from field. Let me put it that way. You transited from offshore down to administration.
Yes.
When you joined Total, if anybody told you that you would end up rising to the peak of your career before exiting Total, would you have believed that?
Well, I am a very optimistic person, and I believe in taking on challenges and thinking to rise, being a technical company. And I saw people who became this that were mainly a lot of them engineers. So I knew that with hard work, you could also aspire to become one of the best in the industry. And so I didn't finish my story. Let me just finish a little before, because I now had to jump to the gas from the oil field to start the OBT gas plant, leading a team of engineers in that plant. And we started the OBT gas plant. It was just about the time the Niger Delta crisis started. And as you know, almost all the fields of operations were with expatriates. So my company, they were about closing the field we had in Warri, OML 57, until they remembered that there is a Nigerian who could run this field without expatriates. And so that was how I was deployed in 2001 to go and run OML 57 with only Nigerians. There were probably very few fields at that time that you could boast of. And we were able to run that field, increase our production in the midst of the crisis until finally the crisis forced us to shut it down in 2003. So this was actually the transition. I now had to return back to the office, and it was the transition. I did a little bit on a mainland project, an offshore project too, before I was now called up to do some other things. So those are just a little brief too.
You delivered over 250 sustainable development projects across the country. Can you speak on that?
Yes. When I was called out of operations it was actually the division known as Sustainable Development. So I was named as project manager to design and implement community development projects. And this was since from 2004. So if I give an estimate of 250, I think it is just an understatement, because as you know, the pressures in the Niger Delta from 2004 that led to all the crises were the responsibility of these companies implementing CSR, or corporate social responsibilities, in these communities. So for Total, I led that charge for Total in designing things that will assuage these feelings. So we built schools, we built health centers, we built hospitals, we built roads. So if I just quoted 250, I think it's just an understatement. So it was quite I can say there are over 1,000. I just the most tangible ones which I did in the last 4 years of my career. So it was quite interesting, changing from the oil side and now going to do corporate social responsibilities.
Which of all these projects you carried out in total, can you, whenever you remember the project, you just like when, like, is it Thomas Edison? When he discovered, who said Eureka? Is it Archimedes? Archimedes that said Eureka. That whenever you remember them, you just lift your eyes and say, Eureka. Yes, I did it.
Yeah, good question. For me, it is not the infrastructures that I've left behind, which are hospitals that are running today, roads that are working today. It is not the other tangible facilities. It was my involvement in 2010 when we started a capacity development project for engineers. Because we needed to build the capacity of engineers. Because we in the industry, we saw the gap when we recruit young engineers. We now need to make them up before they become functional. So in 2010, I was involved in designing a capacity development project for engineers. And so we partnered with MIT, and we had a program that we deployed while we were taking professors, but the major problem was in the syllabus being taught in the schools. It was not changing with time. But when you look at the syllabus at the MIT, they were quite recent syllabus. So this collaboration between MIT and Total led us to be picking young professors from Nigerian universities in engineering, taking them to MIT, expose them there with their counterparts in their various studies. For 6 months, they stay there on that study, then they return to their university in Nigeria here and implement the new syllabus they have learned in MIT. So this has resulted in a very big change. So if you ask me what satisfied me the most, it's not about the infrastructures, it is about the capacity. Up till now, before I left, we had trained over 70 professors in Nigerian universities. Almost all universities have the people we now call fellows of MIT, and they are doing it. And I preached this document, this evangelism with, as you remember, in one of the fellowship conferences of Fnse. I also went to NUC, but we wanted the NUC to adopt the pattern of MIT in the syllabus of various universities. Unfortunately, some of them are changing, but it's not changing very much. This is one of the programs that satisfies me very, very well, building capacities of engineers.
Thank you very much. Now, in all this, what was your biggest challenge when you were in service or as an engineer?
The biggest challenge as an engineer will be the lack of re-exposure as an engineer. Because if you look what is happening in country, in all these, in all the oil companies, all the distance, the basic engineering for every project is not done here. For every project, all are done abroad and brought back here for you just to become a supervising engineer. So it posed a very great challenge for me in the industry. Well, things have started changing with the Nigerian content, what they are doing. We also, as engineers in the industry, will put our foot down, and we now got involved before projects get started. Most of us have to move to headquarters and all that. So it remains a challenge for every engineer that you are not exposed to the beginning from the first principles to set out design concepts. And this had led to a lot of mistakes. We discovered is most of the facilities they brought down here, they were probably not tropicalized because we were not there. It remains a constant challenge for every engineer that is entering the oil industry today. But I think there has been a change. In one of our last projects that we finished called Egina, Total was able to establish 77% local content done in country here. So, but that remains a challenge. If you're not exposed to designs of facilities, it becomes a challenge for you as an engineer.
Do you have any regret practicing engineering in Nigeria?
Well, there are regrets because when you put everybody side by side in Nigeria here, you will know that Nigeria is a country controlled by politics and politicians. And these are not the best the best this is for engineers, except now that we are beginning to show so much. So it becomes a very big regret that you cannot speak out. So it's basically a country of lawyers and all the engineers who are supposed to take the front page, like in China. To be in government, you have to be an engineer in China. From the Politburo down, check all of them, they're all engineers. So this lack of participation in governance is a regret for me, for you, Ben. It remains a regret until tomorrow.
Okay, now still let's go personal. Do you have any of your child that studied engineering?
Yes,
any of your children that studied engineering?
In fact, all of them wanted to study engineering until I started pushing. I have, I have 7 children. The first 4 of them are engineers.
Wow.
And then I eventually had to push one to be in finance. And one is still doing ICT somewhere else now. So I had they followed quite closely, knowing that I was putting bread on their table. So that was an interesting aspect for them.
Okay, now one of the reasons we do this program is, we believe that in the course of your career, you have passed through a lot of storms. You've, weathered a lot of storms. You've seen a lot of challenges. Just like in Things Fall Apart, there was a certain time in the life of Okonkwo when he weathered a very mighty storm that he survived it. And he said that each time I look back and I say to myself, if I could survive this year, I can survive anything.
Yeah.
Most of our young engineers believe or have this idea that when a man is born, he will begin to fly before even, walking. So when they see people like you, they don't really understand the type of things you passed through before you got to where you are today. Yeah. Can you share one experience, that will be a source of encouragement to somebody who maybe is just beginning, who doesn't know his left or right, who looking at the present economic reality, the person has lost hope, he doesn't believe in this country, that something that will inspire somebody that you passed through in the course of your career, you survived, which can be a source of motivation to the younger engineers?
The real thing is actually believing in yourself, because, like as you mentioned, one can actually be demoralized to the extent that you even give up. So at work, such demoralizing situations where they are really, really there, especially when we were working in multiracial organizations. There was less regard for those of us with who are Nigerians and all that. So I saw this as a very strong frustration for we Nigerians who were working. Sometimes we had this opportunity when they'll bring lesser expatriates. You come and you have to work under them and all that. But I had a breakthrough over this one time. They decided to say, let them expose us to training, the same training they train their expatriates. And so they assembled all the engineers all over the 130 countries of Total in France for training. So I was nominated, 2 or 3 of us from Nigeria, to go and join them at the training. So I didn't know that it was a reassessment of what we knew or not. So we spent 6 months in the language in French, first of all, before we entered the technical. And all over, over 50 engineers assembled. At the end of this, it was a real examination. And we didn't know that it was something that we are going to use to really count on our performances. So at the end, we left this thing. I didn't know that the result had come out in France. Yeah, and the Nigerian that you are seeing here was #1. And so they refused to release the result. So it was when I returned here that the managing director called me. What happened? Didn't they tell you that you were #1? I said, I didn't know. They didn't inform me because they were not happy at all. So, but this gave me a very big boost in my career, It was at that point that they discovered, they agreed that, look, we could do even more than them. With a little French, and then you go and do a technical course in French, you came out tops. Among all the, it was then they began to have some confidence in this thing. So relating it to people, it was almost a point of, I nearly did not go for this, for the training they were asking for. I said, what are they going to do again? Because I attended several trainings that you did nothing. But I just made up my mind. So never be demoralized, because there are opportunities coming. And then relating to what is happening now, as you really ask, I think the industry is changing a lot. Apart from that, they are slow. The PIA, if you study it very well, is going to be a key changer in the next few years in this country. So my advice really is for people to be diligent in what you are doing and just continue to do. And then the opportunities will come, and seize every opportunity that you have. That's what I can say.
Now, I will take you to a national issue. Sonny Okosun, about 40 years ago, released a song titled Which Way Nigeria and Which Way to Go. About 40 years ago, those of you now, we say that Nigeria of 40 years ago was a better Nigeria than Nigeria of today. But as at that time, Sonny Okosun, his song was already crying that which way Nigeria, which way to go. I believe that if Sonny Okosun was or is still alive today and he sees Nigeria of today, I don't know what would be the title of the next song he would have released today of Nigeria today. We've been having a lot of challenges in the oil industry. We have moribund facilities, tests of our refineries. We just celebrated the issue of the Port Harcourt refinery that the government say has been technically, brought to life. We have others that are just like dead. And every year, some people talk about modular refineries, or people come up with different ideas on how we can revamp the petroleum sector. We've had the petroleum industry bill signed into law and many other things. As an expert in the industry, which way should Nigeria go?
Thank you very much. As everybody now knows, that the problem of the country is governance. So this is the issue of Nigeria today, the issue of governance. Otherwise, we have everything here that defines it. In the oil industry today, you can say that the oil industry itself is going down. And this has been the major supplier of this thing. Even though it contributes 90% of revenue, the oil industry of the previous years has only generated GDPs of less than 10%. And why is it? Because we are just pumping oil from the wellheads, we send them out. But with the things that are happening now, the PIA has defined a value chain for investments for the oil and gas industry. Looking at the policies that are available, you can say that there is hope for the country. But the problem is, how do we come out of the deep? Because we are right now inside the valley. How do we come out of this? Because the governance have put us in a very big deep. We are debtors. How do we come out of this? Otherwise, I see a bright future with the PIA, what I've seen in the PIA, and even with the divestments going on, as you can see already, even though we have made our comments as a policy. I'm a member of the policy group of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers. There is none of these policies that we have written the position of Nigerian Society of Engineers and submitted to government, including even on modular refineries that they are hoping to be a game changer, which is for us a no-no. That is really polluting the environment. They are producing no PMS. They are just there producing diesel and damaging the environment. So we have written all these policies. On paper, we have everything that should make us great if it is well implemented. But the problem is where we find ourselves today, the depth change and all that. How do we get up? All is on governance to be able to take advantage of everything that we have. For me, I believe there is still hope for this country, if not for all the issues we are handling now. We are seeing criminality. We might find ourselves in a worse situation that even these oil fields might be operated by warlords. We are very afraid of what is coming on if they are not well tackled. For me, I see a bright future if the right decisions are made by governance.
Wow. Now you talked about politics earlier. You have retired from service. You are enjoying your retirement. What is the next move?
Well, when I immediately retired, in fact, just before retirement, I thought well, I am somebody with can say a lot of kinetic energy because staying in one place and all that is in my mood. So I was actually afraid of my retirement. I said, what will I do at retirement? And so I said, first of all, the first decision was, okay, let me go back to school. And so as we are talking today, I'm about concluding my PhD, also in engineering. I never veer out in that. So I took that to absorb the energy immediately I came out. So coming out too, there was advices you need to rest after 35 years. It's okay, we are now resting, but I said, let me first of all start by supporting our communities, which are so weak. They don't have ideas how to engage multinationals and all that. So I formed a strategy committee on my own, started training young people on how we can make the best of the situation. Like I said, I come from the oil-rich belt of the river state, and then they're not getting much because of poor strategies. So I put myself with them. So for politics, we are all watching anyway, but seeing what is happening, it doesn't give any good.
I think. Can you hear me, sir? I think the network. Okay. We will. We am seeing, thank God. So are you the one using also thank God on Nnadi? Let me know. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's exercise some patience. I think the network affected him. Let's wait for him to reconnect. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to establish contact with him. Just let's exercise some patience. That's okay. I think we have him back. All right, sir. You can continue, sir.
Yeah, so you are talking about politics. And I said,
Yes, sir.
why not? Why not? I always believe that we cannot allow all the things that is going on. But seeing the present situation, it's not enabling personally myself to join any politics for now. There is something that I have in mind that, look, we need to contribute our best efforts.
All right. Have you written any book about your life? Do you have any autobiography?
Yes, not published, because I had my later years of work, 18 years that I did in corporate social responsibility was enough to provide a book. So I have a book with already a title that as soon as I finish my PhD, I will dust them up again. It has a title of One Day, One Trouble. As you know, the problems in the Niger Delta, fighting with militants for you to produce oil. Every morning you're blocked. As soon as you finish, another group is coming, homages. So it became One Day, One Trouble. And I was in charge of this as the man in charge of community affairs. So it is a book that is on the works.
One Day, One Trouble.
One Trouble. Yes.
Interesting. I can't wait for that to come out. Now, let's go to the Nigerian Society of Engineers. How did you join the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and whom encouraged you to join?
Well, very good question, because one problem we have today is that joining this professional body is not very popular in the oil industry. You find people, because they are growing in their careers, and so they don't care about coming to the society. But I recognize quite early that, look, you need to back up with people in the industry, in the profession. And so on my own, I had a friend who was working in Shell. So he introduced me to that. And that was how quite early, before my career, mid-career, I was already a member of NSC.
Okay. The NSC of today, compared to what you had as, or what you met on ground when you joined the Nigerian Society of Engineers, can you draw a comparison with what we have today?
Yeah, what I see today is a society struggling for recognition, struggling to assert itself. Because at the initial stage, it was just an organization registered by Guarantee, which is non-profit, nothing. So it was just like almost like a church. We don't contribute, pay our this thing. But I can see there's a big struggle to be part of governance. That's what I'm seeing now. There's that transition to move away and then begin to talk with government, dialogue with government. And that is throwing a lot of young people like you who are also organizing at every level. There's no solution, but I can see that they are in the good way to get this. I've been involved in the last, after my retirement too. I said to contribute a lot on this. So I've been part of 2 committees that have been working. And I said, one of the things that the society can do is also helping in building capacities of the young ones. So I had made a presentation already, and I think I will represent it to the present new leadership of Fnse to see how we can establish a program that is known as Engineers Teachers Corps. People like us, people like you who have retired, you don't go with your experience. Why can't I go to a place like Calabar and help in teaching? So it's something that I have discussed at committee levels, that I think with the new leadership, I intend to represent it because it's quite an interesting decision. So I see a new drive to take their roles, their proper roles in governance, more than the church organization we used to have.
All right. Who is your role model in life and also in the profession?
Well, in life, I really don't have to one. No, I cannot name any particular role model apart from parents who brought you up. And then the Nigerian Society of Engineers, I am somebody who I copy good conducts a lot. Good people who are doing this thing. I see what are these people doing that are changing things. You see me sitting in my corner, but I am there just trying to copy the best practices. But naming a particular person, I would say, no, I don't really go in that direction.
Okay. The young engineers, you've talked about them. You've talked about the country. What is your advice for the Nigerian youth or for the young engineers? And what is your wish for Nigeria?
The problem today with the young engineers is the general issue that's affecting everybody. But we're graduating engineers today, no jobs, they are so hopeless, and there's nothing that affects somebody that's been hopeless in life. So it is a real situation that is also leading to what we are seeing now, the Japa issue, and they have all joined in that train to, to all leave our shores. And you really don't blame them. Somebody after 5-6 years in university, it comes out, it has nothing to do, only menial jobs. So for now, the advice is really that they just have to be hopeful that this country will change. And then I am somebody who advocates that let us work not in silos. If we can form ourselves as conglomerate of engineers, young engineers can form teams of engineers providing various services in electrical, in chemical, and wait. Things are too slow to change. Otherwise, the PIB would have provided a lot of opportunities now that we are with the value chain of the oil business being implemented. There is still a way off, and so today we are in that situation. I really advise young engineers to be hopeful that there will change, and one day we could find ourselves in. You see the people, Nigerian engineers, what they can do. the results we are getting from abroad, both those inside here, you will really know that all they lack today is challenge me. Because if you don't give somebody a challenge, you can never evaluate what they can do. And so the Nigerian engineers, they are waiting to be challenged today, and you see them come out of their best. I advise them not to despair. It's a general situation, and it's also affecting other professions. Let us be hopeful that things will change.
Thank you. You are a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management, fellow of several other organizations, and also you are the Ochuma Arere of Obaland, River State. One, you will tell us what does that mean? And also, with all these honors and all your accomplishments so far in life, can you proudly say that you are fulfilled? Or are there other things lined up for you to achieve, which you are working towards?
Yes, not really fulfilled. At work, it was quite interesting. In fact, one thing that they never forget in the industry was one issue I solved in the gas plant. A gas plant that had been designed, brought back to Nigeria for us to implement. We started this gas plant in January. It was working well. I was the leader of the team. Suddenly, around December, we started having problems. Every time around 4 a.m., this plant would go down. And nobody knew what was happening. We tried all we could. They flew in experts here and there. Nobody could. So we discovered that I took a very big decision. I said, let me study why. Around 4 a.m., this plant would go down. So I discovered it was the coldest part of the night at that time during Harmattan, when temperatures were coming down. And so the gas was falling below its dew point. So I found out a junction in the design of the plant where water was being mixed with gas. So I pointed it out that this was a wrong design. All the experts refused. That it was not wrong. They had done this. How do you remove water and put back into gas? And fulfilling the conditions to form hydrates. And that was what was happening until this was sent back to France. And they came back, vindicated me in the industry that what I said that was correct, and the plant was redesigned. Since all these were part of the things I used when I submitted my thesis to become a fellow of Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, and it was okay. So back to saying, what exactly were you asking, that whether I am fulfilled already? I am not fulfilled. I am not fulfilled because I still believe that at this stage, we have a lot to contribute. In fact, when you read books, they're telling you that the best ages are the ages at which we retire our people are really the best ages that they can really contribute to you. So I'm really available. I do some little consultancies here and there to solve problems for the industry. And most of the time they come, they look for me when they have problems. So I'm available. Part of the things I did was also what gave rise. You asked about my chieftaincy, the Ochuma Arere. Ochuma Arere means one who drives away sorrow because of the things I have done for communities. I provided water, sustainable development issues, hospitals. Our communities, the area where I come from today, are the only communities that have power 24/24 in Nigeria here, implemented by Total Energies while I was in charge as project manager till tomorrow. So all these, the community after retirement said they have to honor me with that title, the Ochuma Arere. I'm still a work in progress, waiting to contribute still.
Wow, that's very interesting. Of course, one who has given his community this kind of leap in life, there is no better traditional title to confer on the person than what they have conferred on you. Congratulations to you, Engineer Chief Vincent Nnadi. Now we are going to be going to the next segment of the program where we will allow the participants to also contribute to this program by asking questions. We have a rule: any participant that wants to ask a question should click the reaction button, and then you click raise hand, and we will unmute you to ask your question. The corner kick segment is open. Questions, please. If you have a question, you raise your hand. Okay. Oriade. Okay, we take Oriade first before we come to Olorutoba.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can you go on?
Thank you very much, Adios. My question to the co-host is where did you study
guest,
for the master's program?
Come back.
My question to the host is where did he study for his master's degree program?
Okay, directly at USC. ROSU now, as it is called. River State University in Port Harcourt.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Engineer Olorutoba.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I wanted to ask still about that master's. I wanted to ask for the course he did for master's.
Come back.
Hello, can you hear me? For your master's degree, sir?
Yes, that's what I answered. My master's degree is in chemical engineering of the River State University.
All right. Kalista.
Hello, thank you for the world of.
Can you increase your volume, please?
Okay, I want to ask this question. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking at our society today, especially in this country, Nigeria, I know you touched it somehow, but a lot of people have a kind of career gap because of what is happening. Like some of our engineers, after graduating, they may practice a while and they see that it's not working, they drop. And maybe after some years and they want to bridge up, they don't know where to start from. What professional advice or guides can you give people like this who are willing to come back to the field, but they have a long career gap and they don't know where to start from? Thank you.
Okay, are we taking all the questions, Ben?
Okay.
Or just
Okay, you can respond to this, sir.
Okay, it's asking advice for those who want to come back to the professional identity. Get so clear.
Please, can you repeat your question, please?
Okay, I said.
Can you be a little bit audible so that we can hear you? Okay, you can go on. Can you hear me?
Joanne, go ahead.
Okay, Joanne, can you ask your question?
Good evening, my chairman, and good evening, our guest for today. Because right now you are part of the people making some suggestions, policies. You're closer to people making these policies. The issue we've seen in oil and gas industry is that when we have projects to do, Nigeria concentrates so much on the local context in engineering, but they don't think about procurement and construction part of this aspect of this work. And is the contractors that are quick to agree to whatever terms you put on the table. When you say 80% of Nigerians working on the project, they're quick to accept this because is not really where the money is going to. And like on Nigeria, you mentioned, we have maybe like 80% of Nigeria working on engineering aspect of it. But when we went to construction, you see that these Koreans, they have the right to bring in like 300 Koreans to the yard because it wasn't in the contract that the local content we are pushing was just for engineering. Procurement was not included, construction was not included. I think Nigeria, when we do these policies again, or when we make this suggestion again, we should start going into all that aspect of manufacturing, making sure we have a quota in construction, in procurement, and of course, to get this, we have to revive our manufacturing like steel and all the rest of our industries. So this is just because you're closer to people that can listen to you on this aspect. Our push for local content shouldn't be only engineering. It should go beyond engineering to construction, procurement, and the rest. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne. I regard that as a very good comment. It's because it was a really big problem even implementing the contracts and all that. Everybody is focused on the construction, whereas the major cost of this thing is, and this is where you often observe failures on the procurement aspect. And so I think there were areas that were identified even for the Nigerian content law to be reviewed. Up till now, we made our suggestions at that time, and they put it back. We went back to the National Assembly. It has never come up because the Nigerian content law needs to be reviewed. We have observed this thing, like you said, it was too concentrated on engineering. And then the major spend, where the major spend passes are through procurement, the processes. And so these are expatriate companies, they actually capitalize on this, and then they do a lot of at the end. Sometimes projects have failed because of this. Thank you for that comment.
All right, thank you, sir. We take Mua Solomon Chukwudi. You can go on. Solomon Chukwudi, you're muted. You can go on.
Solomon, good afternoon. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the guest. Thank you for being elaborate. And to our guests, please, I would like to move. Hello, can you hear me now? So this goes to our
Go
guests.
on, please.
Now,
Yes, we're hearing you.
Formulating policies. Like, I would like to advise or suggest that they should formulate a policy just like we have in the medical line that, okay, after your studies, you go for housemanship. We should have that kind of a thing in engineering so that engineers will be much more valued in this our country, Nigeria. Because I see these days, you see, okay, even engineers gaining employment is very difficult because they ask, okay, what experience do you have in any engineering and all that? But if we create a kind of scenario which the medical people are experiencing and also enjoying, because the housemanship gives them an edge, or it's just like an extra experience per se. So it gives them an edge in terms of securing job and all that. And also my other question, by God's grace, I'm a graduate of chemical engineering, Federal University of Technology, Futo. I did my master's in University of Lagos in production and operations management. So I've been working for the past since 2014 till now. So I've been struggling between policy and also production supervisor. Probably, and if I want to know if there's an advice from our guests, how to switch to oil and gas. I believe somebody that has the ability to control a process, maybe in the food and industry, using the SCADA means, which is the most automated, and also have that kind of experience to control maybe a gas plant, per se, like the one you have in Total Energy. So I want to know how someone can go about it. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir, can you respond so that we take the final question?
Well, I didn't get the first part well, but the second part is talking about his experience and how to can be well utilized in the industry. As I mentioned during the course of the discussion today, we have seen that, look, the oil industry is one of the least employing this year, and that's why their contribution to GDP is very small. Everything requires we take the oil, we just send out. But by the time the value chain is implemented, I mean, every person will find their ways back to various stages of the oil industry. I think we are just about to witness a boom in the industry where people like you, that's why I'm advising, stay steadfast. Maybe in the next 5 years, there should be a change in the oil industry with what I have seen in the PIA. If the people who are taking up these investments are able to find funds to fund the industry. Because by the time we look at the transition, we're going to using gas as a transition fuel. With that alone, you have various things that we can do with them here. So stay in touch in the profession, as I've said. Their things are not good now to give you any advice, but I will also not advise you that you leave. Stay and things will change.
Stay and things will change. And that takes us to the last question for today. Ibrahim Jola Oso. Ibrahim, can you unmute? Ibrahim, can you unmute your mic? Okay,
hello.
You can go on.
Yes, on the issue of gas flaring, with your experience in the gas industry, your experience on gas plants, your interaction between the NSC of old and NSC of the present, do you think Nigerian Society of Engineers won't have a role to play in having a lasting solution to this gas flaring in the Niger Delta? So because we kept on shifting the posts of when we will stop this menace.
Yes, I agree with you. Nigerian Society of Engineers have a lot of role to play, and they have been doing that. I am aware, like I mentioned, I'm a member of the policy committee of Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers. What we do is we study any particular case and we give advice through the president of Chemical Engineers to the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and they contact government that this is the position of Nigerian Society of Engineers on many issues. On the issue of gas itself, gas flaring has been here, but the problem is that our eyes were all on the oil, and so there was very little investment on gas. So very little investment on gas. There are no facilities to evacuate the gas. All our eyes have been on the oil. So the gas we're having today is the associated gas coming from the oil. And since there are no facilities to evacuate this the gas itself, it has to be flared. And the government is trying to force in that you shouldn't flare, but there are no alternatives. You have to give them incentives, the oil industry incentives, to be able to lay pipelines such that this gas can leave the fields. Otherwise, nothing can happen. So we are still blocked, as you may have heard today. LNG is operating at 50% because there is no gas anymore, because the oil has been locked in by all the sabotages. Since the gas is those associated with the oil, the only alternative that is left for those things now are just to flare them. It's still a very big problem. Imagine our best plant, LNG, operating at 50%. And so the government really needs to tighten its belt. The policies, we have them. We do all this, we write, we contact them, but whether they listen or not, sometimes they just ignore. I tell you an experience we had recently about the Port Harcourt refinery. Nigerian Society of Engineers, the top echelon, most of them former managing directors of refineries. We were in Port Harcourt 3 months ago, and we wanted to visit Port Harcourt refinery to see what was going on. At the last minute, they stopped us from seeing this plant, and today you are seeing the shifting of. They have done technical, mechanical completion. it's on test run. All these are not true. But I'm in Port Harcourt. We know what is going on in these plants. It's for government. We advise, but are they implementing what? So that still remains an issue. But we'll continue to play that role.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you very much, our guest for today, our very distinguished Engineer Chief Vincent Nnadi, for being our guest for the 28th edition of Inside the Arena. I must say that it has been a very wonderful time with you in the arena. And I believe that all the participants, even from the comments I've read, have really learned a lot of things from your experience in the oil and gas industry. With that, we are going to be moving to the next segment of this program, and that is what we call the extra time. And that is the time when we are going to be asking questions. A question about yourself, and the person to send in the first answer, or the three people to send in the answers correctly, are going to go home with the prizes. The first prize is a cash of 100,000 naira, second prize 80,000 naira, and the third prize 50,000 naira. And I know that in this present economic situation, these are big money, as I must say. Now the question goes this way. Our guest had his NYSC in the old Anambra State. And precisely the name of the town where he had his NYSC is Nkalago. Nkalago, the present Nkalago, is in which state of the country now? Answer. Okay, so we will go to the chat box. It's a very tricky one. Nkalago, I know very well, is in the present Ebonyi State. Is that the correct answer, sir?
Yes.
So you can go through the chat box now to see the correct answers, the people that got the answers correctly. Majority of them, because you said you did your NYSC, Enugu, many of them are answering Enugu. I think I can see Nneka Ezani. Nneka Ezani got Ebonyi State. And Esther Adewale, the spelling is not too correct, got Ebonyi State. And Uriah Ade, from my own end, got Ebonyi State. So these are the first three people that I saw. I don't know from your own end.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying too.
So first of all, we start with Nneka. Nneka, Nneka, please, can you, Nneka, where are you? Can you, let me add you, and can you show us your face so that we can, and also show us your video. The second person after Nneka is that Esther Adewale that after Nneka, please? I don't want to mix them up. After Nneka, it is Esther Dewale. Okay, let me find her. Esther Dewale, add to pin. Can you show us your face, please? And the third is Oriade.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
This is Esther Adewale.
Okay.
Oriade, can you unmute your mic, please? Okay, I can see the three of you. So, congratulations to you, Nneka Ezani. Congratulations to you. Where are you? Where did you join us from? Oh, your mic is okay.
Okay.
Where did you join us from?
Good evening, sir. From Okasa.
Oh, all the way from Oka.
Yeah.
A big congratulations to you. And
thank you,
congratulations, sir. You have won yourself the sum of 100,000 naira. So this weekend is going to be a good weekend. Esther Dewale,
Yes,
where
sir.
are you? Where did you join from?
From Abuja, sir.
Congratulations. You've
Thank
won
you so
yourself
much.
the sum of 80,000 naira.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Thank you.
Oriade, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, I am joining
Where
from.
did you join from?
From Osun State. From Osun State.
It's complete. Abuja, Lagos, Abuja, Osun, and Oka. So congratulations, Oriade, you have won yourself the sum of 50,000 naira. So please, I have sent him my phone number in the chat box. The winners, please, immediately after this program, and contact me and send in your account details. You are going to receive your monies.
Wow, thank you.
To you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to you. And also to all the participants, we say a very big thank you to you all for joining us inside the arena today. And to our guests, we say a very big thank you to you, sir. It's been a very wonderful time with you. And thank you all. I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. OKOH. It's my pleasure to officially sign out for today's event. Thank you, and do have a wonderful weekend.